Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 13 has been out for only about 3 months or so, but only about 6 months from now, we should see iOS 14. And last year I did a similar video where I did an iOS 13 wish list, so I thought I'd continue that this year with an iOS 14 wish list. Now, there are a few things that I would really like to see, and some that you would really like to see based on comments and things that you've made over the past year. So let's talk about the first thing, and I think that's stability, and then stability. I think most people really want a stable version of iOS without any cellular or LTE issues, no weird touch responsiveness issues, just things working like they were with iOS 12 or more stable versions in the past. I think we want Apple to return to that where they make sure everything's working properly, that we have good battery life, that everything's working well. And so those are the things I think we should see first and foremost, and I think we will see this with iOS 14 as Apple has said they're rearranging internally to make sure that things are more stable going forward. But as far as features this coming year, I would like to see a few different things. Now, the number one thing most of you said you'd like to see is a new phone dialer. So let me give you an example. If I make a phone call to myself here from a different number and I'm doing something on my iPhone and then all of a sudden I receive a call, it pops up on the screen. Now I can silence it by pushing it once or double click to make it go away and then continue using my phone, but it's just a pain. It gets in the way. And I think most people want to see it, unfortunately, like Android is. And I mean that, unfortunately, they've had it for years. Why don't we have it on iOS? So let me show you what I mean. If I return that same call, so here I have a Pixel 4 XL with Android on it. Let me show you what I mean. If I place a call to myself, it pops in here at the top. I can answer it, I can decline it, or screen the call using Google Assistant. So let me decline it for now. And I think most of us would like to see something like that come to iOS. So where it just pops in the top, we can decline it and be done with it or answer it or whatever we'd like to do. So I would like to see those features added to iOS 14. Now, the next thing I'd like to see also comes from a lot of Android phones, and that's the always-on display. And you'll see again with the Pixel, and I know a lot of you could say, well, just use Android. I would prefer to use iOS, but a lot of us would like these features. With an OLED display, only the pixels that are lit up are actually turned on. So you're not using a ton of power. And of course, you could disable this if you wanted to, but you'll see the time and the date in some of your notifications. I would like Apple to do the same thing. Oh, and you also see your battery life down at the bottom with a percentage. So I would like to see all of those things brought to iOS and then a few other things as well. Of course, I'd like to see a way to rearrange the home screen icons, not just from top to bottom, left to right, but maybe I want some icons down at the bottom, or maybe I want them in the middle. I would like the option for me to be able to do that. And so I think most people would agree with that. Some people don't care, but I think most people would agree with that. And then also I would like to see a redesign somewhat. Now, not a full redesign necessarily, because I think this works pretty well, but I would like to see there was a skeuomorphic sort of modern version of skeuomorphism that was posted on Twitter and a couple other sites from someone on Dribbble, and I think it looks incredible. And I would like to see this sort of style brought to iOS or something like it. So it just kind of adds a little bit more depth back to the icons or whatever you're using. So I would love to see something similar to this. And this designer makes incredible designs, so if you want to check it out, I'll link him in the description so you can check it out. But there's some really great ideas with those designs, and I'd like to just see slight tweaks with a little bit more depth. That's all I really would like. It's not a huge deal, but something I would think would be nice. Another thing I would like to see is split view brought to iPhone. We have it on the iPad where we can run two different apps. We could run the App Store, we could run music and the web browser, or maybe watch YouTube and something else. This is available on Android again, but it's also available on iPad and could easily be brought over to iPhone. They just haven't done it. So I would like to see them do that as well. I'd also like to see them give us the ability to switch accounts. So if we go into settings, here at the top is my name, maybe have a way where we can just swipe back and forth through accounts. So maybe I could have a child account and then they could use it with their app screen and things like that. Specifically, this would be helpful on iPad OS because I would love to see multiple accounts there. You can do this with schools and things like that already. I would like to see it brought over to the consumer market. So if you have a managed device at a school, you can already have multiple accounts. So I would love to see them bring that over to iPhone and iPad for everyone else. Now, also, I'd like to see them give us the option, maybe under general or something else, to set default apps that we want. So maybe we don't want a link to open up in the stock Mail app or Safari. Maybe we want to use some other mail app like Spark or Edison Mail or Outlook or any of those. And maybe we want to use Chrome or Firefox or Opera or any of the other browsers out there, just like we can on macOS. I'd like to see them bring that over to iOS. And I think these are pretty reasonable requests. And that's really it for features. I can't think of a whole lot of other things other than in the camera. Give us all the option to switch resolutions for video and put the settings for video and camera within this app. There's no reason to have to go here, go to settings, go to your camera, change it all there. It's just a big hassle. Put it in the app. There's no reason you couldn't do that. So wherever the camera is, here it is, camera, we have to go to here under the settings to change all this. I would just love to see that in the camera app. It would make life a lot easier and simpler. And then consistency across the device. Certain apps function one way, other apps function other ways. So I'd like to see 100% consistency as far as design and everything else. Weather has this depth with rain effect and things like that. But if we go into something like the camera, everything's flat and kind of rotates a different way. So I'd just like to see design consistency overall. Now, as far as supported devices, unfortunately, if Apple keeps the way they've been doing things, while they support devices for a very long time, I think we will see support for iPhone 7 and SE, but I think we'll lose support for things like iPhone 6S and 6S Plus. I expect them to sort of get rid of this since it'll be about 5 years old, and that seems to be what Apple does. It's a great device, but as the operating system demands more of the processor and RAM, they kind of get rid of the older devices that are about 5 years old. But I would expect the SE to stick around until iOS 15 maybe at the latest. It's hard to say what they're going to do, but I think we'll see support for iPhone 7, 7 Plus, and SE. But let me know what you think about that in the comments below, as well as some iPads and things like that I think we'll see support for. But unfortunately, some of the older phones need to go away. They stop support. That means developers have to work on less processors and configurations. And hopefully, again, they make things more stable over time. I would love to hear from you as to what your top features are that you would like to see in the next version of iOS. They're going to add some features either way, and fixes and stability and battery life. Oh, there's one more that I would like to see them change that some of you may or may not agree with. But if I go into battery here and we have battery health, you'll see it says 100% capacity. I would like them to change this to good or change the battery, or good or maybe medium and bad, because that number, as soon as it drops to 99%, people start to get nervous, where it's not really an issue. It's just lithium-ion batteries degrade over time, and that's just the nature of those batteries. So it's going to go down, and people get really nervous, are concerned the updates are doing it, and things like that. I would just like to see them say good, bad, even sort of like a stoplight, red, yellow, green, or something like that, I think would be much more comforting to the majority of users. And then maybe have a more advanced section where they show actual battery capacity, maybe in an advanced section of the menu, and then also capacity based off of charge cycles there. Just a lot more information, things like that I'd like to see as well. But anyway, I would love to hear what you have to say about it. What are your top features that you'd like to see in iOS 14 when it comes out? I'd love to hear what you have to say about that in the comments below. And if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description as I always do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.